Gems, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nisi G. If you're new here, I've been a mindset mentor for 4 years and I've been a master cosmetologist for 19 years, and I'm currently studying to become a nurse practitioner. I'm obsessed with quantum physics and neuroscience and psychology, and I like to use cognitive behavioral therapy to help you understand what you're doing so you can get out of your own way. Today I want to talk to you guys about wavering and how to stop doing that. A lot of times what I've noticed in my private VIP one-on-one mentorship is that people tend to waver a lot in the beginning, and there's a couple of different reasons why people will do this. Maybe you're doing it and you don't even recognize that you're doing it, but wavering is basically kind of like hot and cold behavior with your manifestation, okay, with whatever it is that you're creating. People will waver because they give into their ego. They succumb to that voice in their head that tells them like this isn't going to work. They might say, well, this is logic, and it's not logic. It's your ego trying to keep you safe. Like your ego is attached to your nervous system. Your nervous system just ultimately wants to keep you alive. Okay. What people have to recognize is that your brain's only job, the brain's only job is to keep you alive and well. It is not to believe what it is that you're telling it. Okay, your brain will your mind will make up things that are just not true. And so it might be like, oh, he doesn't like you, this is never going to happen, you're never going to be able to make this amount of money, you have a job, you don't have time to focus on your business. Like, no, you cannot waver. You have to stay dedicated to the new version of yourself by any means necessary. I talked about this in a previous video about your identity and just fully embodying in that new identity and that new version of yourself that you claim to be. Who do you identify as? Now, when you are at this fork in the road of a decision, okay, you have to base these decisions and these answers off of, am I making this decision based off of the version that I say that I am? Am I making this decision based off of this old ego-driven version of myself? Okay. And only you ultimately know the answer to these questions. Okay. Unless you're in mentorship with me. If you are not, then you might not know that. That is going to look like emotional neutrality, where you're not giving everything a reaction. You're not like, this is detrimental to who I am and what I can have and what I can create, okay? You are neutral from it. A lot of people will get, what is it? They will feel like, I'm trying to figure out the proper way to explain this. They will feel like they have to forget their manifestation because they feel like they have to detach from it. Detachment doesn't mean that you no longer want it, okay? Detachment just means that you're good with it. When you can no longer be emotionally dependent upon what it is that you desire, okay? And I'm taking a even more grounded approach with my teachings to help those, because it's just not complicated. And I recognize that some people are just not that advanced in manifestation yet, where they're like, oh, everything is you and there's nothing but I am. And that's wonderful for the people that get it that way. Some people just don't resonate with that shit. They don't. That's just like Neville Goddard and his whole be in the state of the wish fulfilled. Not everybody knows what these terms mean. Let's water it down and make it plain and simple, because that's just what the fuck it is. It's plain and simple. You have to stay dedicated to this new identity. So in the previous video, we talked about the new identity. What does this new identity, you walk like, talk like, be like? How do they move? How do they dress? What sort of things would they say? What sort of things would they think? All of the things, okay? So you're not going to waver on that. You're going to catch yourself in real time when these thoughts come up that contradict what it is that you are trying to consciously create, okay? That might look like you're never going to get this job because you're not qualified. The qualifications say that you have to have 10 years of experience and a bachelor's degree, and you might have 3 years of experience and an associate's degree. Honey, the same thing happened to me. Whenever I became a medical assistant, and this was just 2 years ago now, whenever I became a medical assistant, I wanted to work at a dermatologist's office, a very prestigious dermatologist's office, might I add. I had zero experience. I haven't been in the medical field at that time in so long, and I was like, whatever. These are the qualifications for the job. I don't give a shit because I'm me and I understand the way quantum physics work. Okay. So I went ahead and I applied for the job anyway. I already knew that I was going to get the job. I got an interview back for 3 different locations with the same company, but I did not want that location. I knew what location I wanted to work at and what location I wanted to be at. Literally, as I was walking out of the interview for the first place, the place that I wanted ended up texting me. It was the manager, and she was like, hey, would you be open to coming to meet with me? Would you want to have an interview? Blah, 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 all the things. And I said yes. So I ended up calling her. I ended up setting up the interview for like the next day or 2 days later. I don't remember at this point. And as soon as I got there, she was like, I definitely want to hire you. Like, I had at that time 17, 18 years of experience in the cosmetology industry. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with that, I have my master cosmetologist license. So I'm a licensed esthetician. I'm a licensed nail tech. I'm a licensed hairstylist, like all the things. Okay. So I know about the beauty side of derm, but not the medical side of derm, which is, you know, what I thought that you would need. Anyways, I ended up getting this job and I ended up making more than a lot of the girls that worked there who had been in dermatology for 10 plus years as just a medical assistant, okay? So these circumstances truly do not matter. You're making it up in your mind, okay, well, I have to meet these credentials. I have to have X, Y, and Z because that's what it says. Girl, I don't give a shit what the credentials say. You have to know who you are. When you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table and you know what you're capable of, and you are very familiar with quantum physics and the quantum realm and the way that consciously creating with God and co-creating with God works, then these things don't shake you. They don't break you. They just are, okay? So when you are deciding this is the version of myself, I am the version of me that gets the job, I'm the version of me that doesn't get turned down, I'm the version of me that makes this amount of money, etc., you stay dedicated to that by any means necessary. So a thought could have popped up in my head that said, oh, Nisi, you're not qualified. You don't meet the qualifications. So next, let's look at the next job. Honey, these things do not matter. Apply for the job anyway as if you already have the credentials. Why would they not want you? Why would they not want me and 17 years of experience of the beauty side of dermatology, right? I already know what a lot of these terms are. I already know what a lot of the skin and scalp and diseases and skin cancers and all the things, right? And now I know from a medical standpoint. So you cannot limit yourself by saying that you're underqualified. Stop doing that. When you're choosing to stay dedicated to the new version of you, you have to understand that I wouldn't have this beautiful, wonderful desire if it weren't meant for me to have. It exists in the quantum realm, therefore it can exist for me in my 3D. What you guys have to understand, though, is that you get triggered sometimes by time, and you have to understand that time is linear. Time is meant to move through. Okay, we live in a 3D reality, unfortunately, and the 4D is what time is. So if you even look at things like the movie Interstellar, and when Cooper is moving through the Tesseract, he's able to see every single space of moment in time in Murph's bookshelf in her room. So he can see every single thing that's ever happened in this room all at once simultaneously. He just has to go and pick the correct moment of space and time to give her the message, the coordinates with the watch, okay? So you are experiencing time in a linear fashion because we're succumbed to this 3D dense reality. So when things are not coming into fruition as fast as you would like, it is because you are experiencing time in a linear fashion. What I want you to keep in the forefront of your mind, though, is that as the more that you waver and the more that you go and you say, oh, this isn't going to work, on Tuesday and Wednesday, you were dedicated to it. And then on Thursday, you fell off. And then on Friday, you're dedicated. Okay, those things still have to manifest. Okay? So let's say fast forward to next Tuesday, you're now experiencing what you created last Wednesday. So you need to stay on the straight and narrow of what it is that you desire instead of wavering. Why would I waver if I know what I want is just on the other side of this identity that I have created? It makes no sense for you to waver, okay? You guys will stay dedicated to the version of you that you want to be for like 2 days, and you're like, I'm tired, I'm gonna fight, this is hard. You have to have discipline when it comes to consciously creating. The more you do this, the more you practice this, the easier it becomes, to the point to where you can be like me and think of something, and then within 30 seconds to a minute it manifests. You guys, I shit you not, I have thought about so many people, so many things, and then boom, they end up messaging me or DMing me or calling me or whatever. Manifesting people is one of like the easiest things that you will ever be able to do. Okay, but when it comes to money identity, when it comes to love identity, when it comes to career, you guys tend to get caught up on, well, the logistics of things or the how. That's not for you to decide. Your job, and your one and only job, is to stay dedicated to the identity by any means necessary. Okay, that's it. That's all. It's just like Rachel Dolezal. If you guys are unfamiliar with who Rachel Dolezal is, she's that white lady that was in Washington State and said that she was a black woman, and she was actually president of the NAACP in her area, and people tried to dub her like transracial, but she was so dedicated to the fact that she was identifying as a black woman, as crazy as that may sound to people, but she was dedicated to it. She really, really was. And she woke up every day in her mind feeling like, I'm a black person. Like, this is who I'm identifying as. You're shifting your identity. You're thinking thoughts all day long anyways. You might as well be thinking about things that you want. And you have to think from the end, not of the end. What is the difference? I wish I made $10,000 today. That is thinking of the end. When you think from the end, you would say, isn't it wonderful that I made $10,000 today? See the difference? So you're changing your verbiage, you're changing your atomic habits to match the version of you that you say that you are. That's it, that's all, that's the message. So if you're someone who wants to, work on your business, you might have to go to bed early and wake up early. If you're saying that you're now a gym girly, okay, how often are you going to the gym? Are you eating healthy? Do you have the regimen and routine of someone who's fit? Do you? That's up to you. And you have to stay dedicated to this version of yourself by any means necessary, no matter what the 3D looks like, and stop giving up. If you can just make it a full 7 days, you guys, you're going to get so used to embodying that it's going to start coming like that. Neville Goddard has this belief that nothing takes longer than 3 days to manifest, and so do I. So if you can just stay dedicated to the version of yourself that you say that you are, beloved, it will get a lot easier for you. If this video resonated with you, drop me a comment. Let me know what are some topics that you guys want me to cover. If you have any triggers or anything that's happening, if you need further help with this, or you would like to sign up for my private one-on-one mentorship, I do have 2 spots that will become available as January 1st approaches. By the time you watch this video, it'll be a couple of days before January 1st hits. So you can go to platinumgang.store and check out those different mentorship packages along with my Platinum Manifestation Plans. The Platinum Manifestation Plans are where I walk you through how to get rid of these odd behaviors that you guys tend to have and wavering, and it's just the plan, and you get to do it on your own. Depending on what plan you have is how many check-ins that you will get with me. I like to use psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy and neuroscience to help you reprogram your subconscious mind and teach your nervous system that is safe to receive the things that you desire. I hope this video resonated with you guys. I'll see you in the next one.